For over 8 centuries, Notre Dame Cathedral has stood as an unwavering monument to Western civilization's enduring spirit, a breathtaking pinnacle of Gothic architecture that whispers tales of kings, revolutions, and countless human stories. More than just stone and glass, it is a living testament to humanity's artistic ambition and cultural legacy, deeply woven into the very fabric of our collective history. On April 15, 2019, the world watched in shock as flames engulfed one of humanity's most iconic architectural masterpieces. But what ignited this disaster? What environmental and safety consequences did it unleash? And most importantly, what vital lessons can we extract to safeguard other irreplaceable cultural treasures? The fire broke out around 6:18 p.m. local time on April 15, 2019, under the cathedral's roof. An alarm was triggered, but due to confusion, a security guard checked the wrong attic. At 6:43 p.m. local time, a second alarm sounded. The security guard, back in the control room, realized the initial mistake and sent another guard to the true location, the cathedral's main attic, the forest, a dense wooden attic of 13th century oak. By then, it was already too late. Around 6:51 p.m. local time, firefighters began to arrive at the scene. Before 7 p.m. local time, the flames and smoke became visible to the public. From this moment on, the fire rapidly escalated. The fire intensified, consuming the roof and collapsing the spire by 7:50 p.m. Firefighters declared the fire under control around 4 a.m. local time on Tuesday, April 16, 2019. The Paris Fire Brigade battled the blaze for 15 hours, finally extinguishing it by 10 a.m. the next morning. No signs of forced entry, accelerants, or foreign ignition materials were found. Current understanding confirms the fire originated in the main attic, the forest. A critical 25-minute delay after the first alarm in discovering its actual location meant precious time was lost, making early-stage fire observation impossible. Since the fire completely consumed the area, obliterating potential ignition indicators, a precise initiation spot has not been definitively pinpointed. Tragically, the fire's most probable starting point, the base of the spire, was utterly destroyed. As of November 2024, the exact cause remains officially undetermined. Nevertheless, two primary theories have emerged. An electrical short circuit. This theory suggests a malfunction possibly stemming from renovation equipment, such as temporary elevators, cabling, or scaffolding, or older bell wiring. Negligent smoking. Despite smoking bans, workers admitted to smoking on scaffolding. However, butts were not found directly at the ignition site, and investigators could not definitively determine if smoking occurred inside the cathedral structure where the fire began. Due to delayed detection, extreme destruction, and the absence of accelerants or forensic triggers, no direct link was definitively established to the attic ignition point. However, a hidden guest may have significantly contributed to the fire's rapid and devastating spread. Notre Dame harbored several critical fire vulnerabilities. Vast, dry medieval oak. the forest, comprised an immense volume of dry medieval oak, much dating from the 13th century. This provided highly combustible fuel, allowing rapid fire spread. Geometry of the attic. The inverted V-shape and beam layout created chimney effects, promoting fast airflow that intensified the blaze. This construction design dramatically amplified fire spread. Lead roof and spire. The roof's wooden framework was covered with hundreds of tons of lead. This lead absorbed heat, melting and falling as potential fire starters. The spire, also wood-constructed and lead-clad, combined aged timber and lead sheathing, presenting significant fire risks. No fire compartmentation. The vast attic space lacked fire-breaking walls or compartments, which would have helped contain the blaze and slow its spread. Antifungal treatment. Use of an inadequate antifungal treatment applied in 2018. Issues with temporary power supplies or existing electrical wiring, possibly related to the cathedral's bells, are a leading theory for the ignition. Hot work operations. Activities like lead work using heating equipment could generate sparks or flames. Combustible materials. Scaffolding and other renovation materials could have contributed to the fuel load. Workers' habits. Cigarette butts were found near scaffolding, and workers admitted to smoking, though the fire started inside the cathedral, not directly where smoking was permitted. Initial alarm confusion. When the fire alarm system first alerted employees at 6:18 p.m., confusion among staff, particularly a new security employee, led to a critical misdirection. The wrong attic was initially checked, delaying the actual detection of the fire by approximately 30 minutes. Manual notification. The alarm system was not designed to automatically notify the fire brigade. Guards had to physically climb 300 steps to investigate, and then return to summon the fire brigade, further delaying the professional response. Limited access. The narrow passages and significant height of the attic presented immense challenges for firefighters, making it extremely difficult for them to access the blaze effectively. Inadequate fire safety measures during renovation. Despite the presence of fire detectors, critics pointed to a lack of more robust protocols during the renovation project. This included the absence of continuous fire watch personnel in high-risk areas and insufficient management of potential ignition sources. No sprinkler system. The roof structure lacked an automatic sprinkler system. The prevailing fire safety plans relied primarily on prevention and detection. Ironically, the decision not to install such systems was often rooted in concerns about potentially damaging the historic fabric or introducing excessive electrical wiring into the ancient structure. All wood is primarily composed of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. While exact ratios vary, density and the presence of substances like resins more significantly influence initial flammability and burn characteristics. Regardless of wood type, moisture content is of utmost importance. Green, recently cut wood has high moisture, making it very difficult to ignite and burn efficiently because energy is first spent evaporating water. This includes oak. Seasoned or kiln-dried wood, below 20% moisture, burns much more readily and efficiently. The centuries-old timbers in Notre Dame's roof, dating back between 700 and 800 years, would have been exceptionally dry, making them highly combustible once fire took hold, regardless of wood species. Over centuries, oak wood loses all residual moisture, becoming extremely dry and brittle. This greatly reduces its ignition temperature, and makes it much more likely to ignite and burn aggressively. Oak wood has several distinct features when it comes to fire, but it's generally not considered more combustible or easier to ignite than many other common woods, especially softwoods. Oak is a hardwood, meaning it has much higher density compared to softwoods like pine or spruce. This high density translates into slower ignition and a slower burn of the material. It takes more energy and time to bring oak to its ignition temperature, and once ignited, it burns slowly and steadily. Being such a dense material also provides more potential energy, more material to be burnt. Oak's low resin content means it does not possess, by nature, any additional compounds that might act as potential built-in fire accelerants. This contrasts with softwoods like pine, whose resin content is high. Resins are highly volatile and flammable, contributing to quick ignition and more volatile, crackling flames, which makes softwoods ignite easily. In summary, oak itself is not particularly prone to catching fire easily, nor does it have special resins that make it more combustible than other woods. Its high density and low resin content actually make it less prone to rapid ignition and more inclined to a slow, steady burn compared to many softwoods. The critical factor in the Notre Dame fire was the immense quantity of dry, old timber in the roof structure, which provided an enormous fuel load once ignited by an external source. Oak isn't a built-in accelerant, until it's been drying for 800 years in an attic without moisture. Then, it becomes a slow-burning fuel source that can turn a spark into a firestorm. While arson was ruled out and no intentional accelerants were found, a particular material likely intensified the fire and contributed to its rapid spread. During the production of the 2022 documentary Notre Dame on Fire by director Jean-Jacques Annaud, documents came to light indicating that the beams had been treated in 2018 with an antifungal gel. This antifungal product was solvent-based, and thus, flammable. The presence of such a chemical would have rendered the already ancient, dry wood of the attic even more susceptible to ignition and faster burning, significantly amplifying the intensity and speed with which the fire consumed the roof structure. It is reasonable to ask, do non-fire loading alternatives exist? Absolutely, they do. Safer options for treating the old oak beams include formulations based on essential oils, water, silicon, or borate, moving away from solvent-based products. Yet, despite the availability of these safer choices, a flammable product was employed. Its selection was likely driven by its good deep penetration properties, long-term effectiveness under severe conditions, and ease of application in challenging areas like the forest. The safety data sheet for the product indicates its solvent is primarily composed of branched C11, C13 aliphatic alkanes, with a small fraction, under 2%, of aromatic hydrocarbons, like toluene or xylene. This C11, C13 isoalkanes blend is classified by the ASTM D235 standard as a low aromatic/dearomatized mineral spirit, type 2 mineral spirits, commonly used in paints and wood treatments. These white spirits have modest volatility, with boiling points higher than gasoline, but lower than heavy fuel oil. They are flammable and can create ignition hazards, particularly if residues remain in the wood. The flash point for this fraction is approximately 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, the solvent produces enough flammable vapor to form an ignitable mixture with air, which will then ignite if an external source like a flame or spark is present. Between approximately 210 and 270 degrees Celsius, this fraction will spontaneously ignite in a normal atmosphere without any external ignition source, such as a flame or spark. At this autoignition temperature, the substance itself provides sufficient energy to initiate its own combustion reaction. The Notre Dame fire consumed a significant amount of material, and it was much more than just wood. In addition to the dense, dry old wood, there was a recent external load of chemical compounds from the antifungal product with which the wood had been treated in 2018. The structure itself posed an intrinsic, higher danger. The roof and spire contained 460 tons of lead, most of which melted or vaporized in the fire. Studies estimated that nearly a ton of lead dust settled within a 1-kilometer radius of the cathedral, with elevated concentrations detected in soil samples, particularly in the northwest direction, consistent with the smoke plume's path. Primarily the ancient oak timbers of the forest roof structure was the main source of fuel for the blaze, along with the 19th century wooden spire. Burning wood, especially in such a large and uncontrolled fire, produces a complex mixture of gases and fine particulate matter, PM2.5. These gases contain carbon monoxide, a highly toxic asphyxiant gas; carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas and asphyxiant at high concentrations; polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, carcinogenic compounds formed during incomplete combustion; benzene, toluene, xylene, known human carcinogens and neurotoxic compounds; formaldehyde and acrolein, irritant gases. The petroleum derivative solvents used as a carrier increased the amount of benzene, toluene, xylene, formaldehyde, and acrolein, among other toxic dioxins and furans, highly toxic environmental pollutants, particularly if treated wood was present. Fine particulate matter, PM2.5, microscopic particles that can penetrate deep into the lungs, causing respiratory and cardiovascular problems. The main components of the antifungal agent with which the wood had been treated in 2018, when undergoing incomplete combustion or pyrolysis, generate health risk compounds upon inhalation. The insecticide substance permethrin is a synthetic pyrethroid. Its combustion can release chlorine and hydrogen chloride, both highly irritating and corrosive to the respiratory system, and other highly toxic chlorinated compounds. The antifungal substance propiconazole is a triazole fungicide, whose pyrolysis can produce irritant and pollutant nitrogen oxides, and hydrogen chloride. The roof and spire of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, which caught fire and collapsed on April 15, 2019, were covered with 460 tons of lead. The fire's intense heat caused this lead to melt and vaporize. Government reports documented lead deposition immediately downwind of the cathedral and a 20-fold increase in airborne lead concentrations at a distance of 50 kilometers in the aftermath. These toxic fumes were arguably the most significant source of toxic contamination. Lead melts and vaporizes at temperatures above 500 degrees Celsius, releasing lead oxide fumes and other heavy metals. The highly toxic lead vapor condenses into ultrafine lead dust particles. This lead dust was carried by the smoke plume and deposited across significant areas of Paris. An estimated 1 ton of lead dust was deposited within a 1-kilometer radius of the cathedral, affecting both outdoors and indoors. Soil samples, particularly northwest of the site, consistent with the smoke plume's direction, showed elevated lead levels. Since lead is a potent neurotoxin, especially harmful to children and pregnant women, local schools and nurseries required thorough decontamination. Blood lead testing was recommended for residents, particularly those in the vicinity of the cathedral. In summary, the Notre Dame fire was a major source of toxic fumes and residues, primarily due to the burning of ancient wood and, most critically, the vaporization of hundreds of tons of lead from the roof and spire, posing a significant health risk and requiring extensive cleanup efforts. The 2019 Notre Dame fire, though tragic, provided critical fire safety lessons for historic buildings. While its exact cause remains officially undetermined, the disaster stemmed from a confluence of vulnerabilities and operational shortcomings. Several measures could have prevented or significantly mitigated the Notre Dame fire: improved fire detection and alarm systems. Crucial is early, rapid, and clear detection and communication of any smoke or fires, pointing the location and automatically notifying the fire department, eliminating critical delays from manual verification. Remote monitoring by dedicated fire safety services could provide immediate verification and direct notification. This necessitates well-trained, experienced security and site staff. Enhanced fire compartmentation. The structure could have benefited from fire-rated partitions or barriers. These would have slowed fire spread within the vast attic, providing firefighters more response time. Active fire suppression systems. Though controversial for historic buildings due to water damage concerns, modern misting systems or targeted sprinklers could have extinguished the fire at inception or significantly slowed its growth. These systems use less water than traditional hoses and can be minimally invasive. The decision not to install sprinklers was partly based on the incorrect assumption that the old oak timbers would burn slowly once ignited. Appropriate building materials. Using a non-solvent-based antifungal agent would have been essential in minimizing the fire's extent, if not its ignition. Even applied a year prior, these solvents don't fully evaporate from dense beams in enclosed spaces, accumulating in elevated areas. Poor ventilation traps flammable vapors. The design's geometry and the antifungal agent's chemistry created a high-risk scenario. Rigorous occupational hygiene and safety. Implementing strict, permit-to-work systems for hot work with stringent adherence to safety protocols, including fire watches and designated safe zones, is essential. Temporary wiring and electrical equipment on construction sites are common ignition sources. Strict rules for installation, maintenance, and storage are paramount to prevent electrical faults. Strict site management. Absolute prohibition of smoking on site, especially near combustible areas, should have been observed. Minimizing combustible materials, fire load, and maintaining a clean work environment are also crucial. More stringent oversight from heritage bodies and fire safety experts during renovation, a high-risk period for historic buildings, is vital. By addressing these vulnerabilities and embracing technological advancements and best practices, historic buildings globally can significantly reduce fire risk, ensuring invaluable cultural heritage preservation for future generations. Over €840 million was pledged from around the world to aid in Notre Dame's restoration. The cathedral was meticulously restored using traditional techniques, but this time, with the crucial addition of modern fire safety systems. Since the devastating fire in 2019, Notre Dame has undergone a comprehensive upgrade in fire safety. Over 300 detectors and thermal cameras now monitor the cathedral around the clock. An advanced water misting system, the first of its kind in a French cathedral, can suppress flames instantly without damaging the structure. The attic has been divided into fire compartments to prevent spread, while new high-capacity pipes and standpipes ensure fast water delivery, even from the Seine. A dedicated command post oversees real-time alerts, and fire-resistant wiring has been installed throughout. Strict oversight, isolation of high-risk areas, and regular firefighter drills now ensure that Notre Dame is better protected than ever before. On December 8, 2024, the cathedral is scheduled to reopen to the public, symbolizing not just resilience and global unity, but also a renewed and strengthened commitment to heritage protection. 6 years after the Notre Dame fire, no lives were lost, and only minor injuries were reported. But the fire released large amounts of lead from the roof and spire, leading to environmental contamination across parts of Paris. Elevated lead levels were found in dust and soil, especially near schools, prompting cleanups, temporary closures, and blood testing, mainly for children. Fortunately, no widespread poisoning was confirmed. The nearby Seine River showed no significant contamination, and all remediation efforts relied on conventional methods, not bioremediation. Today, the Notre Dame fire stands as a powerful case study in fire risk, toxic emissions, and emergency response in historic urban environments. The 2019 Notre Dame fire wasn't merely a loss, it was a wake-up call. A tragedy that taught us how fragile history truly is, and how absolutely essential it is to protect it. If you believe in the power of knowledge, preservation, and safety, please like this video, share it, and subscribe for more deep dives into the intersection of science, heritage, and public health.